Hello everybody, welcome back. It is Danny here, and today we will be making a professional website with HTML and CSS. So now let's go over our folder structure. So if we take a look at our folder structure, we will see that it consists of quite a bit of files. So the first one we'll go over is CSS. This holds all of your CSS, which is the styling for our site. So in here I have CSS for the footer, header, and the main CSS. So we have an images folder, which is right now empty, but we will fill that up later. We have an includes folder, which is that. And in it, we have a footer.php and a header.php. And we have a JavaScript folder, which is empty, but we will put jQuery in that. And in our root folder, we have to have an index file, and I chose to use PHP for this, for the header and footer functions. So now let's get this started. So if I move this editor back here and go into my index, and I get my footer and header open. So now let's see what all this is once I delete it. So normally, if you make websites, you would put your HTML info here, you'd put your content, and then we can go to our browser and refresh, then it would say your content. But we are not doing that here. Here, what we are going to do, we're going to delete all this, and we're going to paste in, and we're going to put in this code here. PHP require once includes header.php, and close your quotation, and close it off with a semicolon, and close your tag. So what this does is it tells this file, it tells your index.php to go into your includes folder and grab your header.php, and any code that's in it will be in your index.php. So we can do the same with the footer. So go down a few lines, PHP, require once, open brackets, open a quotation mark, includes, and footer.php. So to test this, let's put my header and my footer. So if we go into our browser, now we see we have our content showing up. So that means we did everything right. So that means we can delete everything, go back to our browser, and everything should be working fine. So let's start off with making a header. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my header, and I'm going to make a div and give it a class of header. Or maybe navigation. I'll make it nav. Close the div. And if we want right now, we can go into our footer and give it a div class footer and close it off. But we don't need to do that right now. So in our header, let's go into our header.css, and let's make it so that the header height is, let's make it about 50 pixels. Now width, 100%. And background color, let's make it red for now. So we go into our browser, refresh, nothing happens. That's because our style sheet is not linked. So what we need to do in our header, in our head section, link rel style sheet and href. And what we're going to do, since we need to go back a file, put 2 dots, your slash, and we're going to put CSS and header.css. Close it off. Now let's go into our browser, and nothing happens. Sometimes it's because since we linked it to the index, you have to remove those 2 dots. So if we test that, still nothing works. Give me a second and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so we are back, and apparently I made a dumb mistake. I put class header instead of class nav. So if we go into Safari again and refresh, we should see this is our navigation. So now let's go back into our header and get rid of everything. And in our main.css, we're going to give the body a margin of 0 pixels. So if we refresh, that should be gone and we should have our bar. So for colors, what colors do I recommend? I recommend you go to this website, flatUIcolors.com, and choose a website that will look good with your site. So I really like the Peach River, so I'm going to go with that. So I can go here into my header.css and change the background color and just paste the code that I got from that website and refresh, and I should have it right here. So what I can do now is I can give my site a title. So I'm going to make it So now if we look here, it should say the Hoogly Boogly Network. So let's add a link. So ahref, and we'll just put a hashtag in there for now, and close the a tag, the anchor tag. So let's make this. So if we go and refresh, we will see there's a link right there. Now we see that it's off to the side, but I want a container in the middle that houses everything. So what I'm going to do in the header.cs here, I'm going to make a new div, and I'll give it an ID of nav. We can close the div, indent it. Now in the header.css, we're going to target that ID, and we're going to give it a width of 1000 pixels. We're going to give it a margin 0 auto. Now what that does is it centers it. So now we see it's in the center and it's 1000 pixels wide. So let's give this a line height to make it centered. So I'm going to line height 50 pixels. It's now centered. So let's get rid of the... Now let's try to make it a bit better and get rid of the underline for the link. So text decoration, none. And the underline's gone. Let's make the color white. Now it's white. Now in our main.css, let's change the font family, and let's make it sans serif. Now if we refresh, it's now a different font, which is what we want. So what if I want this to be a logo? So I can go into my header.php and change the text to an image tag right after I get my logo into my folder. So I'll be right back once I do that. Okay, so in our image folder, I added logo.png. So this is going to be our logo. So what I can do, go into my header.php and replace this with an image tag. So we're going to make it source. And it's going to be logo.png. Now let's make a height of 50 pixels. So if we can refresh, we see it's missing. So let's try image. There we go, there's our logo. So let's change this to make it about 48. See how much better it looks. And if we refresh, it's a little bit better. And let's make it about 45. Okay, perfect. It's not centrally aligned, but we'll fix that later. So let's align this content center, and we can add a little menu toggle right here. So in our header.css, we're gonna text align center. Now that theoretically should align that in the center. So there we go. So now, once we got this, we can make our, let's change this to header. And if we changed this to header, we have to go into our CSS and also change that to header. So everything stays the same. So that means we did it right. So let's make our navigation now. So div class nav close div. And let's create a new CSS file and call it nav.css. So that means we have to create a new file and link it. So nav.css. So in here, we're going to target class nav. Give it a height of 600 pixels and a width of 33%. So let's give it a background color of aqua just to see how it will look. So there's our navigation. So we can make this 100%. Oh, I forgot how to do that. Okay, we'll stick with 600 pixels for now. Looks pretty good, but maybe let's make it 43%. Yeah, that looks a little bit better since it's a bit bigger. So let's get our color. Let's get this darker color. So that's going to be our background color. We can save it, go to our page, refresh, and that looks pretty nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to use jQuery, and we're going to be able to toggle this on and off. Okay, so let's get our stuff in. So in it, we're going to have our links. So let's make some example links, maybe home, about our work, or maybe portfolio, and contact. Let's go here, we can refresh, we can see it's all right here. So let's change this up so we can go into our CSS and select the anchor tag in the nav div, and let's make it so that the color's white. Text decoration, none. Refresh, now we see it's properly formatted text. So let's make the width 100% in attempt to try to make those in line. But that doesn't work, so what we can do, we can go here and make these paragraphs. Another thing we can do is line breaks, but I'm just going to stick with paragraphs for now, since they're a bit easier. Refresh, it's all good. But there's that little margin on the top. We can get rid of that, but I'll just do the line break method, I guess. So that's how you do a line break. So we just do that. After each line, we can put more than one. I'm going to try 2 and see how that looks. And refresh. There we go. That looks pretty nice. So I'm going to have to give it a margin. Or maybe we can text align center. So in our nav.css, text align center. Nothing happens. Possibly we have to do it here. Text align center. There we go. Looks pretty nice. So let's give these a bit of space. So we're going to make padding. I'm going to padding top 50 pixels. Padding bottom 50 pixels. Something's up. Okay, so maybe let's give this a padding on the top of 50 pixels. So that way, this has a little bit of spacing. Okay, so that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to target the nav anchor tags again, and we're going to make it a hover effect. So we're going to give it an underline. So we're going to make it text, decoration, underline. So if we hover, it will give it a little underline. What we can do is border bottom, and let's make it 3 pixels, solid, white. There we go. Let's give it a little bit of padding. Padding, let's give it 50 pixels. Oh. Okay, something's up, so I'm just going to stick with this because I like the way that this looks. So in our header.php, next to our logo, we're going to have to put something, and that's going to be the toggle navigation. Just going to make it div, class, nav, toggle. So now what we can do, we can go to an icon finder and get a little menu icon. I'll do that. Okay, so I'm back. So I got the icon. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put image source img slash menu dot png. Close it. Maybe let's give it a height 50 pixels. Why not? So if we go into Safari, refresh, is not there. So something's wrong. I believe this could be it. We can't really, yep, that's it. Yeah, so we messed up, so what we need to do is we're gonna make this a link and hope that it displays in line. So let's close the anchor tags, get rid of these divs. We refresh, we see it is there. We need to give it a height of, let's do 45 pixels. And there we go. So now what we need to do, paste that here. So that means switch position. So let's give this a style, float, left, close it. There we go. That is about it. Let's make this a little bit smaller, 40 pixels. And that looks about right. Okay, so we'll center that later. But now, if we give this a class of nav toggle, I'll show you how to make it so that in jQuery it will toggle this navigation. But for now, we'll make this display none. So now we can get started on our actual content. So on our index, we can put, no, in our header, we're going to make a div. And we're going to call it container. And close that div in the footer. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put content here. So we refresh, it'll be there. And it should be in the middle if you go to content. With 1000 pixels in margin 0 auto. So yep, it is in the center. So we concluded our series for now. So what I'm going to do, in the next episode, I'm going to show you how to link this with jQuery so that it actually works. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe.